Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the Truba Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our communities. Now, today's story has actually stirred a passionate debate across our nation, which is the recently signed Basic Educational Laws Amendment, or the BELA bill. Now, the new legislation aimed at making education more equal has actually sparked fierce opposition from the Afrikaans-speaking community, who claim it threatens their mother tongue and cultural identity. Now, last Friday, President Cyril Ramaphosa actually signed the BELA bill, but has since suspended the implementation of two key sections pending further discussions. Now, this decision comes amid growing tensions, particularly from white Afrikaans-speaking groups who argue that parts of the law actually threaten the mother tongue and cultural identity. Now, the BELA bill aims to actually create a more equal educational system in South Africa. And despite significant progress, which is that 34.7% of Black teenagers actually completed secondary school in 2022, which is a rise from just the 9% in 1996, which shows the differences in tertiary education attainment. I mean, Afrikaans, derived from the Dutch and influenced by various local languages, is spoken by nearly 13% of South African population. But President Cyril Ramaphosa actually framed the law as a step towards better educational foundations for our children. However, the controversy primarily revolves around Section 4 and 5, which grant the National Department of Basic Education authority over school language and admission policies. Now, I absolutely personally love this new law. I think that Afrikaans, especially within the Black community, symbolizes and evokes painful memories of apartheid oppression. The history of language in our schools is deeply intertwined with the struggle for equality, and some white Afrikaans-speaking individuals claim that this new law undermines the freedom of Afrikaans-speaking schools, risking the removal of Afrikaans language as a language of instruction in schools. However, I believe that this situation actually perpetuates the legacy of apartheid, if you ask me. I mean, where access to quality education was racially actually classified, and if we're truly aimed for an inclusive education system, then we must prioritize the integration of African languages in our curriculum as well, which will essentially allow every student to learn in a language that resonates with their identity. And I believe that the BELA bill addresses the historical injustice in education, particularly for Black South Africans who have been systemically denied quality education. For instance, I mean, where Afrikaans-speaking schools have allegedly excluded Black students is a raising concern about the racism and the discrimination in admissions.
If you look at national and international examples, it becomes evident that when you have dual medium or parallel medium education in a strong international language and a strong regional language, even though the regional language might be strong, the international language eventually becomes the sole language of instruction, which means that in the case of an Afrikaans school where English is also introduced as a language of tuition, eventually that school will become English. And we've already seen that process happening in universities in South Africa, and that's why we are very concerned about the effect that it may have if we no longer have single medium Afrikaans schools which are full.
So if he signs this afternoon, we're told, or sign sometime today, the BELA bill, you're going to court today?
Not today. We are preparing our papers. It's still in a final stage, so we are still fine-tuning our applications. But we are ready to both apply against the law and also to apply for an interdict to prevent the implementation thereof.
The reality is that only 9% of Black South Africans actually hold tertiary qualifications, compared to nearly 40% of white South Africans. And the government states that the BELA will help dismantle these inequalities, but will it be implemented? I think that's the big question. Now, for better context, let's take it back to the Soweto uprising of the 1976, which was a very pivotal moment in South Africa, which was ignited by the imposition of Afrikaans as a medium of instruction. Now, the ensuing protests resulted in tragic violence, highlighting the deep-seated resistance against the marginalization of Black voices in education. Now, as government seeks to regulate language use in schools, the stakes are once again incredibly high. Many Afrikaans speakers fear that the new law will diminish the language's presence in education and culture, which I would like to argue that it represented governmental overreach. The AfriForum, which is a prominent Afrikaans rights group, has actually vowed to contest the law, stating that Afrikaans is already facing erasure in the public universities. Now, as the government engages in consultations over the next 3 months, I think that the future of language instruction in our schools hangs in the balance. Now, that is it from me. What are your thoughts in regards to this? Let's engage in the comment section. We really want to hear from you. What do you think about this? And while you're at it, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is goodbye for now.